What happens when your worst fear becomes your reality? Hi, I'm Brent Cassity. Welcome to the Nightmare Success In and Out podcast, where we explore how to overcome your fears and nightmares and set yourself free. We're going to be exploring this topic with guys I was in Leavenworth with and others who survived their own nightmare. These stories can be inspiring, sometimes sad. There's some humor, but hopefully you can come away with a nugget of something that'll help you knock down some of the prisons you built up in your own mind. My guest today is Jason Rauschelbach.
Good morning.
He was the CEO of the national company, the Mortgage Store. Some of you may have remembered that, heard about that company. Did a lot of advertising. He's a good friend of mine. So Jason, welcome.
Good morning, Brent.
So,
thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the live audience we have. I've been really itching to use that button.
You got a good setup here.
Thanks. This is better, isn't it, than sitting on the wall, the cinder block wall with the plastic chairs?
This is a lot better. I have a feeling I might get to hold a remote control.
Big deal.
Yeah, big deal.
Got to have seniority, though.
Big deal.
So, Jason, the show's about dealing with your worst fear becomes your reality, and both you and I have had a lot of ups and downs, and we both had the opportunity to build national companies. Take me back a little bit. What was Jason doing as a teenager in your life at that time?
As a teen, I was living a pretty typical kind of semi-rural high schooler lifestyle in Wentzville, Missouri, and played tennis. And
you're pretty good at tennis.
I'm a pretty good tennis player. We've played some tennis
I'll
here
give you that.
locally.
Yeah.
And
on
in
the court,
the league there at Leavenworth, where we had tennis courts.
Very interesting tennis court.
Cannot bring your own tennis racket. I
Right.
thought that you could, but you cannot.
No.
Do not bring your own tennis racket. So anyway, that was my, I went to Wentzville High School and was a pretty good student, National Honor Society type goal-setting kid. And from there went on to Mizzou. And, Midwestern boy, Brent.
Midwestern boy made good. So tell me, because, not everybody builds a company that you take big and you go national. What was, walk me through what happened. How did you get to that point where you said, hey, I've got an idea, I think it'll work. And then how did you go about doing that?
Well, I have a background in sales and probably just a personality for sales, and got my Series 7 as a young kid at Mizzou. I left Mizzou and got my Series 7, worked for Stiefel Nicholas, and cold called a guy here in town named Ray Vinson, and eventually ended up working for a
99.99.
That's right, Uncle Ray. And I'm pretty good at treating sales as a process, so I'm a good trainer and a good leader, I think. So I thought, well, he's got a good idea here, and I would have to admit that I modeled after what we were doing there, and came across a company that had a good name, and decided to partner with the mom and pop owners of that shop because the platform was open. I said, okay, let's we can blow this up and do it quickly, scale quickly. So.
Well, you bring up something that I think is an important point when you're trying to build, or both for business and life, is to find somebody that's doing it right or getting it right, and you try to model and take a piece of that and say, you know what, that would work for me. I'm going to put that in my business. I'm going to make it that a little bit more custom to what I'm doing. But don't you think that sometimes it's just like humbling yourself and saying, I'm looking for advice and I'm looking for things that are working and people getting it right, and then you take that advice and you put it into what you want to make work?
I think if you're going to say, I'm going to make everything up from scratch, and I'm not going to build on the shoulders of, better people, smarter people, try to hire and surround myself with smarter people, then you're going to have a tough row to hoe.
Well, it's hard to invent everything, right?
Right. There is nothing new.
Yeah. So you build a company and it becomes successful. I'm sure you're proud of what you had built.
Yes. Yes, we were recognized as one of the Inc. 500 fastest growing companies in our niche for multiple years in a row. And, we took a mom and pop shop literally from Wentzville, Missouri, and built a brand, built a model, built an advertising and marketing machine and a sales training and hiring machine. And okay, let's start marching. Where is this country growing? How can we,
How many states did you get into as it all grew?
I think we had 7 branches in 5 states.
Yeah, that's great. So when did you start feeling the heat that like, oh my God, this is something's going on and it doesn't feel good?
From a business perspective, 2008, and I would say, we all look backwards, and I'm sure we'll have conversations on what did you first see, and then you didn't do something, or you didn't realize really what was going on. And I had feedback from vendors. We had a credit line with our warehouse lender, a $10 million warehouse line with relatively small institution in Atlanta, Georgia, who started telling us, well, all right, well, you can't, we're not going to fund any more loans with IndyMac, for example. And, I will tell you, I was also 31, 32, I was in my early 30s and thought I was a lot smarter than I probably was, and
invincible at that
invincible
age,
oh, of course I was bulletproof and invisible,
right.
In addition to invincible at that point, based on nothing but success having been achieved, Brent. Nothing, I could do no wrong. And so anyway, in 2008, outside, it would be something like that, and I'd be questioning, why would we not underwrite for IndyMac? This is ridiculous. And I probably at the time, because it might have been a little of my personality, would have been, pushing back or trying to strong arm not changing my model to my, someone I looked at as a vendor, and I should have looked at them as an advisor, right? So there's one mistake. And through 2008, I really after having expanded and then seeing slowdowns, for example, in our market in Orlando and Las Vegas, and like, well, how can these how can things be getting slower?
Right.
And then, okay, IndyMac goes out of business. I can remember in the spring of 2008, going on a trip to the Kentucky Derby, and for the first time probably in ever, I guess, thinking, I don't know if I should be going on a trip. I don't feel good.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be my spring trip, where I'm supposed to be starting to feel good. And summer is coming, and and I was not. I was not feeling good in the spring of 2008, which, turned out in our business. I wish I would have paid more attention or been more intuitive. Your gut is right. I mean, there's a million one-liners that I've got the benefit of now, having looked backwards.
Do you did you ever get the knock on the door that said, "Hey, we're investigating you," or from an FBI agent?
Well, we knew immediately, right? So I got a call from our CFO who said, "Okay, one of our accounts is closed. They have closed one of our accounts." And what had been going on is, essentially, to keep the company open or whatever, however you want to characterize it, we're writing checks between our accounts and ultimately just digging a big hole. And my instinct was, well, let's go into, I'm going to fix this mode, because that's what I do. I'm going to fix everything going on around here. We're going to minimize or close this branch in Las Vegas. We're going to stop paying advertising bills over here. We got to put the dirt in the hole, stop the bleeding. And what I should have done right then is just, okay, this is very, very serious. This is letter of the law. Get an attorney and, turn your CFO in and, whistle blow on yourself, essentially. Yeah. And I didn't really figure out how to do that, and had misplaced confidence in my own abilities to fix a problem that had already spiraled out of control.
Well, and I think that is the other part of it that people may not understand, is how fast those things happen. And when you're dealing with a large company, that it all comes at you really fast. In our situation, we had 22 states and the regulatory world of each regulatory department in each state coming at us, request, and we didn't have enough hours in the day to respond to it. And it felt like you had literally slipped down the abyss to being caved in, and it was claustrophobic. So and that happens really fast too. And you're thinking, as you were saying, Jason, you're thinking, I'm going to fix this. I got this. But there's not, as you're doing it, you've got everything. You're being shot in the front, the back, sideways, and you feel like, no, I've got this. I'm going to save everything. I'm going to make everything work.
Watch me surf through this, but you're surfing the sands of an hourglass, and you're about to be squeezed.
Exactly.
And it does happen fast. Yeah, if you could see it from outside, which you can't at the time, but it's a waterfall effect of this regulator, and I'm sure we'll talk about after prison too, because it's not much different. Your probation officer is in communication with the IRS. Hey, the pressure. And the pressure around the failure part of the business at the time is, it's just overwhelming. And this is even before the threat of litigation. This is just watching a business where I have 200 people working here, and I did $1 billion worth of originations last year, and you can't even believe that it is happening, and you're living through this, and all of a sudden, all of your attention is on your biggest bill is legal fees then, and the paperwork that stacks up. It only gets bigger.
You have to worry about you've got 200 lives
until they stop. Yeah, you've got 200 people on payroll.
Yeah.
And
that always stays. To me, that is one of the things that always stayed with me is that anything in any meeting I was going to, it was in the back of my mind. I've got 400 people here that I've got to. Their lives are on my back. I got to get this meeting right. I got to save this day.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to clear payroll.
Yeah. And that was always, that keep you up at night. And first thing you wake up in the morning, and last thing you think at night.
No, you sweat. You lose weight.
Yeah.
You don't eat.
Drink too much.
You drink too much.
So
make other bad decisions.
So, Jason, I know that going through all that, you finally come to this point where you're looking at going to trial or pleading. And for those listening to this, just to throw out a number that a lot of people don't know, 97% of the people that are indicted plea. So we have a conviction rate in the United States of 97%. And, of course, both you and I are part of that 97%. What was the night before you pled? What was that like when you finally said, you know what?
It was the best night of sleep I had had for a year and a half. Mm-hmm. And we'll get back into it. But after my company failed, I went on, actually went back to work in financial services and was an investment banker with a small firm in Clayton, just living my life for years, including getting a semi-congratulatory type call from my attorney at one point saying, "Yeah, I think your deal's all over. There's no more attention. You're not worthy of attention." And oh, that's great. So we're going to move on.
Yeah.
And then I can remember where I was, who I was pitching, where I was driving back from when I got the call out of the blue, which, when you see the number pop up, maybe I don't want to give this guy's name right now. Still a good friend of mine, actually, very good counsel and a good friend, but why is he calling? You're not supposed to be calling. We don't have anything to talk about, I thought. And that's when he told me, "Oh no, you're back. You're all back up on the desk, and
here we go.
You need to come. Yeah, here we go. Need you to come on in."
So how long was all that?
Need you to come on in and bring a check.
Bring a check, and because we're going to be paying me a lot.
Bring the first check.
Yeah. How long did all that last, Jason? From the time that you had started and feeling that the company in spiral, and then the federal deal. How long did you deal with it?
Okay, so the company, like we said, it went down fast, and not even my own internal things at our company. That whole industry, it just failed.
Yeah,
Our biggest
2008.
So if anybody doesn't remember,
right.
Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, these 100-year-old companies that
Big
were my
boys.
counterparties are closing, and you just like, what? That's
Part
not
of the
possible.
spiral.
Bear Stearns? Okay. Anyway, so the business, it failed, crashed, burned. A couple of successors tried to make a mark with the brand or whatever, but you can't do anything with a brand in an industry that is dead. And we were a subprime lender, and that industry was dead. There wasn't a borrower or a buyer.
Yeah.
So we're done.
Timing
is everything.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm going to pick myself back up and let's go sell something else. Let's do something else. We have got to go live another life. Now you really can't, because you've turned in a license to the state of Missouri. Okay, well, you don't go get your insurance license after your company has turned in their lender's license.
Kind of raised a red flag.
Yeah, so you're already...
but you're still trying.
You're still trying.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still trying, and
that's one of the things, Jason, I want to explore too, because life gets tough before you go in. Obviously it's tough when you're in, and it's really tough when you get out. So, the idea that you can just kind of sit and watch and wait, you have to keep stepping in to try to figure out. And at the time you did that, you didn't have much to work with. You were just saying, "Hey, I don't have my company now."
No, one man show.
Here I am.
Yeah.
Have mouth will travel.
Yeah. Sales and marketing.
Yeah. So
the company failed in 2008. I guess that's the story.
Yeah.
And for 2008 to 2012, I reinvent my career and make a new career for myself. And then get the call from my attorney, "Oh no, you're still on the desk."
They just hadn't gotten to you yet.
So now
that was in 2012.
That's in 2012, and now I'm on a parallel path, keeping the secret. Right, I'm going into my office in Clayton, which is convenient because my attorney's also located in Clayton. So this is very good because we're going to be working a lot together.
Yeah, walking distance.
And no one at my office knows. I can't, of course, I'm doing deals.
Yeah.
I closed a deal the day before I went into, I collected a check the day before I went into plea. And it was funny that the Fed said, "Yeah, we're good. We will extend this for you to do your deal."
Okay.
Because it is also a funny story how cordial everyone is, and we're all wearing suits. But these guys are putting you in prison in a minute too. So,
So you find out. So you go in and you plea. As we all know, the letter shows up in the mail and tells you where you're going to be assigned to. It's just a very matter-of-fact letter. It says Leavenworth. What's your thoughts about that?
I'd heard of that one.
I heard of that one,
too. Didn't hear a lot good. Okay.
It's in the movie.
So yeah, you do plea, and I'm sure we'll get back to it. But your 97% conviction rate. This is how it works: is you get to plead guilty to one count of conspiracy, knowing that the prosecutor will support your attorney's suggestion of, can we give this person house arrest, probation, up to 2 years incarceration maximum. So they reach that agreement before you walk in, because the alternative is, without your pleading to one count of conspiracy, we're going to charge you with 40 counts of everything, variety of things that we're just going to throw against the wall, and we're going to go for, there's 20 years on each count.
20. So you're looking at 400 to 500 years. If convicted on each count. I think mine was it was mail fraud, wire fraud, because anything, once you're deemed to be not a right company, then everything you make,
everything
you ever buy is money laundering, and so all those added up to like 900 years. So that was a lot to look at. Especially, there's nothing quite like looking at your name on a sheet of paper versus the United States of America.
Underneath.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of intimidating.
It's a one-sided.
It is. And it's when you get to that end and you plea, I think you are
your beer league softball team is, okay, you guys are playing the Dodgers tomorrow. Good.
Exactly. That's a good analogy, Jason. Okay, so here's the deal. You head to Leavenworth. You voluntarily surrendered, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did.
Yeah, that's a weird thing.
It was a really weird thing. My dad drove me.
Yeah.
It was a Tuesday.
Me too.
And when I got there, Mac. Remember Mac?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you go to Leavenworth, and you see the big Leavenworth. You don't see we ended up in a camp. 1879
looks like Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, it looks like Shawshank. Yeah. And there's a little house up front, like a brick manse or whatever you want to call it. And my dad and I went in there, and this gentleman, Mac, was getting ready to ask us about whether we were taking the tour.
Uh-huh.
And I extended my hand and said, "No, I'm surrendering today." Might have said I'm checking in.
Right, checking in.
But you don't shake hands. There is no handshake. That was it. You leave your dad in the parking lot after you find out you're not bringing your gym bag in. You don't need your shoes or your tennis.
You don't need anything.
Gear. You don't need anything.
Because they're going to take all of it anyway.
They are taking everything. Right. Yeah, you're going to get everything there.
So my thing,
you don't have shoes when you get in there.
Well, and when you went in, because you go into the big penitentiary.
That's where you start the processing. Yes.
Don't you think your first thought is, I wonder if they know I'm not supposed to be in this one?
Yeah, you're really concerned. You definitely are. First of all, it's a bunker. And it's not, none of these areas that you're walking through are big areas. You're not in an auditorium. You're going from one small corridor into another small corridor, and you're being processed.
Don't you feel somewhat,
like
Jason,
cattle.
like as you walking through there, you can almost feel your freedom shedding, like off your skin. Like each step you take through this gate and through this little gate, and then they take.
It's more than you thought it was going to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had asked, I can't remember if I answered, but you said that how did you sleep the night before you pled guilty?
Mm-hmm.
And I slept great.
Yeah.
And I hear these stories about fugitives on the run and finally I'm caught.
Yeah.
So I slept great that night.
The night before prison.
The night before prison, you do not sleep great.
No.
That is not a good one.
That's not a good one.
We drove from St. Louis into the Kansas City area and stayed at a nice hotel and went to a nice steakhouse,
Mm-hmm.
is how we prepped for the next morning, the 10 a.m. drop for the next morning.
The check-in.
Yeah.
And I remember this too, is that Julie, I went up there with my brother and my mom, and we had dinner down on the plaza, and then we took off and went back over to Leavenworth to look.
Oh, you could look around.
To look at it from the outside, and it was kind of dark, and you could see people walking around. You could still actually see people walking the fence. And my thought was, I didn't say this to Julie, but my thought was, my God, I'm going to be in there tomorrow. I'm going to be inside there, inside that fence, inside that small building that looks like a rundown schoolhouse, and in a bunk bed in that place.
Maybe in a bunk bed.
You
Who knows?
You
Who
didn't know at that
knows?
time what you were going to be in. Okay, so they walk you in, Jason. Walk me through your first day.
Okay, I'm trying to remember. They walk you in. I think that was the first place that I was actually fingerprinted. So I was never arrested, handcuffed, fingerprinted at any point by the marshals or the prosecutor's office at any point in my journey or prosecution until I got to Leavenworth. So I was handcuffed, made an offer. What do you want to do with your street clothes? You know, do you want to donate these?
I thought that was a weird question, didn't you? After you come in, you know, I knew that one thing I wanted to do is not that nice coat I had. I was going to leave that in the car.
Yeah.
Didn't want him to have that.
Yeah. I walked in knowing I might not see these clothes again.
Right.
Yeah. So I went with the donate. Yeah. You can donate these clothes. And then.
Don't you remember that kind of looked like a dead pile? You know, like there's just clothes that
yes,
was piled.
Yes.
And then they throw you some, like a T-shirt. Well, no, they first strip you down nude.
First you're naked, right? Then
they prisonize you.
Yeah. You know, that sets you up for psychological success on their end of let's get this guy straightened out. And then they bring you some clothes that are not new. These are not new clothes.
Mine had like a little blood stain down the front of it that kind of bothered me.
These aren't the good clothes that anyone wanted.
Right.
So this is just...
Did you get the little blue shoes?
Got the little slippers.
Yeah.
So the shoes are one of the first issues when you get in there. And you need shower shoes.
Oh, my.
As you can imagine.
Oh, my.
So anyway, I'm in there getting processed, getting clothes. A nurse, you meet with a health. I don't know if I asked, or I think that's just a part of the thing. You're going to meet with someone and go over what are your health conditions.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did that. I'm sure we'll talk more.
Yeah, we need to talk about that.
Yeah.
What happened when you met with the nurse?
Well, I let them know that, which was probably a condition that many people are about to get incarcerated. They develop alcoholism. Yeah. And I let her know that I have been drinking heavily since my, throughout the stress of the proceedings and up until my incarceration. Right. And, a lot. Uh-huh. And her concern is you're going to have you're going to have alcohol withdrawal. And I agreed. Definitely, I'm going to have alcohol withdrawal. That's pretty much what I'm warning you about is I'm going to have alcohol withdrawal. When did you last drink? And, the answer was yesterday. Right. And how many? And the answer was, many. Plenty, as I had been drinking. Yeah. So they prescribed me, I guess, a heavy vitamin B. They prescribed me a combination of things. So now I'm in the medical system too. So you get your name called. You're going to take your pill in the morning. Mm-hmm. You're going to get your pill or shot in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. And this was my treatment. It's actually the only treatment that I had actually received for alcoholism in my life for this condition was the treatment that I receed at Leavenworth. And I'm glad that
they diagnosed you.
I'm so glad that we had that conversation.
Yeah. So how long did they keep you in the basement of the big penitentiary at Leavenworth when you checked in that day?
For about 5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from the morning, from 10 o'clock prior to, I guess I got out around 3 or 4 o'clock. I got a meal. Can't remember exactly what I was doing for shoes. I think you and James Clark brought me shoes and a pair of shorts either that day or the next
I do think we helped you out with some shoes.
Yeah, somebody came, which is kind of funny. Someone is usually, they know you're coming. I don't know. It's a little weird that there are people from your hometown in your prison wherever you go.
Which is odd.
Yes.
So, so when you get finally taken and okay, they come and get you in your cell and they say, we're going to take you down to the camp.
Yes.
That's good news. That's good news that they're going to take you down to the camp because at this point you're thinking, I sure hope they think.
It turns out it's good news. Yeah.
But you're still thinking for those 4 hours or 5 hours, I wonder where they're going to take me next.
What's next?
Because you first notice that you don't get any information. The first thing as you walk in is for the rest of your time at Leavenworth, you know nothing.
No, you don't talk. You don't talk and ask about anything.
You know nothing. They're not going to tell you anything. You're going to sit there until they open that sliding door and let you out, and you get into a car and they take you down to the camp. So you walk in. You don't have anybody else you're walking in with, right? It's just you?
No, I walked in just a van ride.
Yeah, but it's
van ride. And the driver of the van is another prisoner.
Sure.
It turns out I didn't know at the time, but everybody driving around,
the inmates
cruising
run the
around.
place.
The inmates run the place. Yes,
they do everything.
That is correct. Yeah,
that's the one thing that you find out when you go to prison is I didn't realize that the inmates make the food, the inmates cut the grass, the inmates
everything.
Do the HVAC. There is no HVAC.
No, there's no air conditioning, so you don't have to worry about that, or
you don't have to worry about
or the heat.
No.
The inmates do everything.
They do everything.
There's even a for-profit business, a recycling company, and the inmates all work.
They do that too.
They work there with pride.
The one thing that the inmates don't do is they don't do count. That is done by the correctional officer, and that was what's required for you for count is to stand there, right?
Yes, you stay. Yeah, and so I got in, was driven down in a van, and, you get processed into, okay, you're going to walk through this vestibule, whatever you would like to call it, before you go through a court. Yeah, it wasn't really that nice. You're going to walk into this little lobby area, and then we're going to take you in, and you're going to be at camp, and you're handed some clothes. Okay, here's where you're going to go live here on a cot.
Did you go down to the basement?
No, I was up.
No, I mean, did you go get your clothes in the basement?
Yeah, I went and got my clothes in the basement. That's a little sketchy.
Sketchy.
There's a guy walking you to the basement already.
All dark,
steamy. Yeah,
pipes going.
It's sketchy. Big,
fenced in. Chain link fence.
Big scary guy down there turns out to be the nicest guy.
Very nice guy.
Yeah. And anyways, okay, you got some used clothes now.
Yeah.
Don't have shower shoes. You need to buy those. So luckily there is a little mall, there's a commissary there. Mm-hmm. So day one was, where am I sleeping?
This is the mall
what am I eating?
Sends stuff down through the chute.
I think I got there just in time not to eat, actually. I think that's what happened.
That's probably good.
Yeah, 5 o'clock meal I missed. Mm-hmm. And then at some point, I'm walking around. I'm walking just killing time, and then you're all going to bed. You're all going to bed now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And all of the lights are going off, and you're all...
Are you approached by anybody at this time, or are you just walking around on your own?
No, I was walking around on my own wearing these army boots that they give you, which are not very comfortable.
Not very comfortable.
No, I wasn't approached by anybody, and really, as I recollect, it might have been you and James the first day, or might have been the second day. I can't remember. But those are you two reached out. When I went into my dormitory, there was a nice young guy there named Terry. Okay, you need some shower. I'm going to give you some flip-flops, and I'm going to give you a bowl because you need your own bowl for the microwave. The food culture in prison is bigger than you would think. You don't just go to the cafeteria and there's your tray and you're done with a...
No, it's like food is like crack cocaine, and the...
food's a big deal.
Yeah.
Food and the variations on ways to make things that are not the way we make things.
I remember you got very good at making
pizzas.
Yeah.
Pizzas.
In the microwave.
Pizzas in a microwave out of tortillas. And
fantastic,
whatever the commissary is funded by the Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I don't know if are they a sponsor?
We will make them one.
Okay,
yes.
So
it'd only be fair.
That's the prison industrial complex is brought to you by the same people you get your Miata from.
Yeah,
and so you have sausage, cheese, whatever, tomato sauce. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, and pizzas are a big thing.
Huge.
Burgers, things fall off the truck around the cafeteria. There's a huge food industry.
There's a lot
in
of
prison.
Things that fall off the truck between the food warehouse to
Unicor
to the dock,
the garden.
Yeah,
things are falling off all over prisons.
And there's a lot of food that falls off, and that food that falls off, they make good out of that. I remember one night we were. Remember Big Watson? He was my son.
Yes. Okay. Oh, yes. Yeah.
So he liked to cook.
Yes.
Food. One night I came in. I remember Clark and I just got done playing basketball, and we came upstairs, and Watson's got the whole sink area all with the flour. He's doing chicken, and he's dropping them into a trash can with stingers that are making the
gonna have to explain the stinger.
Those are made up at
Unicor, right?
Yeah, so they get that, and those make the oil hot, so that fries the chicken.
That's a stripped off cord from something, right?
And,
is that?
And here's the thing I was thinking too is that so he's doing that.
He's running a fryer.
He's running a fryer
Yes.
in a trash can, and then at the other side you've got Bass. I don't know if you remember Bass, but he's shaving his whole body. All 3 showers are on cold because Watson's trying to keep the steam down from the chicken. And then you've got like 10 guys smoking in the corner right over by the urinals and the toilets. And I'm like, you can't make this up.
It was like the scene in Star Wars at that cantina.
Just a Friday night before the movies.
Before the movies.
So tell me what your thoughts were about the movies. Because the movies, I don't know if that's everywhere in prison like it is at Leavenworth.
Well, first of all, the movies, all right. I got in trouble for this. I got my colleagues in prison were not happy because the movies actually come out. I don't know how, but they come out before they're at the theater. So what was the sniper movie? It was a good one.
Were they, oh gosh.
Army SEAL type, whatever.
They were in
Texas. He's from Texas.
Yeah, they were in Afghanistan or something.
So we get this movie before it is out in theaters, and I'm dumb enough to, I'm telling my dad on our 9 o'clock phone call, oh yeah, he said, that's not even out. Oh yeah, I don't know how I don't know how they do it, but they're pirating. Someone's got internet access. Some prisoner, prisoner who is got one of the key jobs of being an administrator's assistant. Those are the people that they have Excel so they can print out, documents, and they have the internet. And
but here's the deal: they read your emails, so you have to
correct.
You have to type 5 cents a minute, pretty fast. But that is how they found out about that. They read your email to your dad.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the CO. Oh, and then they leaked it. Yeah, so the corrections officer, that's correct. I forgot. Exactly. I'm glad you prompted me. So the CO drags me in and says, why are you saying this? I denied, deny.
Yeah.
And then in addition to his giving me some shit, he tells the other prison population, just in case there's some prison justice that needs to be meted out to me.
And Jason, you probably remember this. In that movie, they were up on that mountaintop, and he was going to take that guy out. And he said, if you do that, man, you're going to end up at Leavenworth. And we're all
was funny.
And we're all sitting there like, oh, yeah. Right.
That was funny.
We are actually in Leavenworth.
And I think Dwayne The Rock, I think there was another movie with a Leavenworth reference. And it's always funny when you're at Leavenworth and you get a Leavenworth shout out.
And you're on your plastic chair and you're in no air conditioning and watching your movie, just sweating.
Yeah. In your seat where you sit.
Your seat. And that's a good point. Tell me about that, Jason. What's the deal with the seat deal? Like, why does everybody have their own seat?
Okay, you bring your own chair for one. You go to the auditorium and you bring your own chair.
Are you seeing things when you walk in? Are there people selling goods before the movies?
Yes. So this is the stamp economy, books of stamps. Stamp numbers, individual stamps, 2 stamps is a general
get you a lot
snack.
Get you soda
get you soda, brownies,
pizza,
burritos, pizza.
Yeah. Some guy
whatever.
Even made ice cream.
That's right.
Yeah, I think it was Daniel Jackson made ice cream.
I don't know how that was going.
I'm not even sure.
I don't know how that was going on.
But anyway, it didn't make
sense. Yeah, you have got to. You don't just pull your chair down.
I always felt bad.
You
got
to find your clique right away in prison. Find your people before you make a mistake.
Yeah.
But now, that's your seat. That's your seat forever. Yeah. From now on, that's your seat, and that's where you sit.
Unless somebody leaves and you like that area better, and now your seniority.
There is some seniority. Yeah. I didn't get the opportunities for seniority
weren't there long enough, Jason.
Like you did in many cases. But
and there's so much pride in that to stay longer.
I just really appreciate you and Jim letting me
hang out
ride
with
your
us.
coattails, you know, that good seat we had.
We actually had a pretty good area seat.
We had some good seating in the movie theater and in the cafeteria for TV night.
Yeah, so TV night, we all, they called it the white wall. It was a white center block wall. And
it's one of the reasons they called it that.
Yes, one of the reasons. The other was there was these goofy white collar guys sitting on the wall. And we sit with our plastic chairs on there, and everybody else had their own places every night. But we could actually see all 4 TVs. You could see the Hispanic TV, the black TV, the redneck TV, and the white TV. So it was you could get it all.
Yeah, you got it all. You got.
And we all listened through by radio phone.
Exactly.
Headphones. So
everyone's got headphones.
Yeah.
Well, that was smart. Of all the things that they're doing in the prisons,
brilliant.
They are correct that I don't want to listen to someone else's music, just like I don't want to listen to a speakerphone conversation today that I'm not a party to. So, yeah, you're all on headphones, and you dial into which TV you want to watch. And
so let's go back to this.
And that's not selected by
No, and you can't go up and change the station because that actually will prompt a fight.
Yes.
Nothing's
definitely
done manually.
No. You're going to be rolling.
Right. That is a.
Which I never saw it. I never saw a fight. A couple might have occurred that I'm aware of, but
heard about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to roll back, Jason, because you kind of set me up to ask you this. So you got diagnosed with prescription drugs for your drinking before you came in, and there so happened to be a program in the federal system, and it's about the only program that you can get time off. It's called RDAP. I think it's Residential Drug Addiction
Awareness.
Program. Yeah, awareness. So anyway, whatever RDAP the acronym is for, you get a year off if you can get into the program, and Dr. Wells allows you into that program. You actually get a year off if you complete the 9 months.
Correct.
And you were not approved for that program before you came in.
That is right. To be approved for RDAP, you probably
should be
had to have
pre-sentence report.
Yeah, it had to be in your pre-sentence report, and you probably already needed to be being medicated and being counseled for that issue. And I was not. I did.
So what you did do, though, was get a prescribed drug diagnosed by the Bureau
of Prisons.
And then that allowed you to go in and talk to Dr. Wells about the fact that they missed you because you're already prescribed.
Well, yes. So I had applied and I think been maybe turned down for the first round of RDAP and had the benefit at that time of a letter that had been written by a family doctor, physician recommending based on, what he understood, having not seen me personally, but conversing with me on the phone. He wrote a nice letter to try to get me into the addiction treatment program, and that was a failure because there was no actual treatment that I had received in advance. Right. So after being turned down, I went in and, I made an appointment with Dr. Wells and to discuss, why was I turned down and maybe how we could make this work. And at the time I didn't really appreciate, does he want me in here or does he not want me in here? Or do they not care? Or, I don't know. And he just basically said, well, that letter's not going to do it. And you're having been pulled over once for a DUI that was later dismissed 9 years ago also doesn't do it. You have to have something here in the preceding 12 months, whatever. And I said, well, when I came here, you guys treated me. So he wasn't aware of that and said, and wanted the details. And I said, yeah, I came in and I told them, hey, I've been a serious drinker for a long time. I'm going to have serious withdrawals. And they gave me, this shot and this sublingual, whatever. And he said, oh, well, let me see if we can work with that. And he called back up to the big house and verified those
prescriptions,
the 7 days of treatment or 9 days of treatment that I received. And bam, you're in. You're into the RDAP program, and you're going to have 9 months of intensive RDAP retro or inspection. I don't know what treatment.
1 year off.
1 year off.
And
So
that's
my 24-month sentence was dropped to a 12-month sentence, and then
No, I didn't have you very long, Jason.
I know.
But let me ask you this, because
When they say short and sweet, it was sweet how short it was for me.
I mean, I just barely got to know you.
I know.
But that's not really true. You see somebody every day. That is one of the strange things about. But I was going to ask you, when somebody leaves, I might as well finish what I was saying. It is strange because there's nothing like prison where if somebody's a friend of yours, you see them every day, they're part of your routine, you do things with them, and you can't leave. So it's not like, hey, I'll see you tomorrow. No, I'm going to see you a lot for the day.
Passing by.
Exactly. And we'll probably see each other out on the fence.
I'm not going to Rockbridge.
No. So it's not like you run into people every once in a while. You're with them all the time. So when somebody leaves, I always analogize that to be like, it's almost like it really messes with your routine. And when you're leaving prison, it's almost like you're leaving somebody on the field of battle, because you know that you're leaving them behind and they're going to stay in that same shitty place for a long time. But I was going to ask you
But the relationship, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, though, when you went in and when you started dealing with the fact that, okay, I'm going to be here for a while, did you mentally use any particular strategies of like, how am I going to get through the day? What am I going to do as far as like, was there a strategy that how you handled prison? Was it any different than how you handled yourself outside of prison?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. And I think one of the questions that you are going to be asked a lot was, were you scared? And the smart answer, or the answer for me is no, you can't be. It's scary. Yeah. But you can't be scared.
Well, you can't let people know you're scared.
Right. So you have to really wrap your head around, and I don't know about you.
You never walked around like you were scared.
No, I didn't. That's not a good idea.
You didn't even act like you were worried about not going to work.
No, I was not worried about. They want you working there, and that's a whole other story of jobs I've washed out of. I went up to Unicor, and I told them that wasn't for me.
That you didn't see.
I didn't see myself in a factory, but anyway, the relationships don't stop either, because prison doesn't stop. When you leave, you're going to a halfway house, and you want to know, what is that like? Right. What's the next step? And when you go into prison, I don't know about you, but the months, the time I have spent on the internet just becoming an internet attorney. First of all, I had to become an attorney on the internet. And then I had to become an expert on what is prison life like on the internet. So you spend a lot of time, wasted time, I would probably tell, like most time spent worrying is time spent wasted. Yeah. But you think about prison a lot.
Because
before you get that postcard.
Well, because it's the unfamiliar, unknown world. So most adults or kids don't like change. Well, this is a big one.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
And I went into my sentencing expecting to maybe I'm going to get house arrest. I still had I think it's a flip of a coin. Yeah.
Mine was probation to 5 years.
Mine was probation to 2 years. Yeah. I want house arrest. I got the 2 years. So from the minute you get the 2 years until you get the postcard,
there's a lot to think about.
You're quite consumed with what's happening next, and the mailman plays a big part in the mail being here.
Big deal.
Big deal.
And I think that's the other part of it. When you get there, you have to figure out how does this all work? Because there's prison rules, but the inmate rules are the most important. And you have to figure out how to work the TrueLink system so that you can talk to the outside world. You got to figure out how to work the telephone so you can talk to the outside world. So there's a lot of different things that you have to step into. And surprisingly, for me, I found that very quickly there were some people that wanted to help me. And that was one of the things, your fear factor going in, what's going to happen as far as me walking in. But, within an hour or two, there were guys saying, hey, you need to do this. Roma was telling me how to do my bed and how to make it military style. Clark was telling me, you can go down to the chapel and get some toiletries until you can go to the commissary. And I'm going to show you how, maybe get you a job. All those things were happening.
A towel.
A towel's a big deal. Well, I didn't have a pillow for a couple of weeks because the military Watson with the tats, he told me, good luck with that.
It takes a couple weeks to get everything set up.
Yeah.
Including your permanent bed.
Yeah. Well,
sometimes
you ended up, when you first went, did you go to A2? Or were you in B1, B2?
Let me think here. The
for those out there listening,
you got to know the layout.
There's 4 blocks.
Right.
There's the A block, the B block, the C block, and the D block. There's the suburbs, which was the B1 and C1, where those were 2-man cells, which were
very nice
to have.
The RDAP, you're in a separate dormitory while you're in the RDAP program too, which is very nice.
It's cleaner.
They police that.
Police it.
But a couple of them are just, it's the Wild West. Mm-hmm. There's a restaurant. There's, there's drinks.
Yeah.
So I was upstairs towards the back where you're walking out to the track past the CO, past commissary, past the CO's office. Yeah. I can't remember if that was A2.
I think it was A2.
Yeah. So A2, I started out on a bunk. Yeah. We were at capacity. Yeah. The inn was full at that time, as it
and for those who don't know, Jason, you walked into a room with 50 bunk beds, a locker, and a plastic chair, and that's your world. And you share that.
Except I was on a cot at the time. When I came in, we were full. We were oversubscribed.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So people were sleeping in the gym. Happened for a long time. Under your stuff goes under your cot.
Well, and that's probably the way you should have been handled, because you were going to be there for a year.
Didn't know that up front too. When you get there, I'm telling you, the math on that first night of laying there on 80% of 24 months is how many more days of this do I have to go through? So that's the first night. You wake up the next morning, get counted again. Yeah. So I didn't know really how often they're doing this count, right? So the next...
Which, by the way, the count, we make fun of it, but the count is a very serious thing, because it is how many people are in the prison. If you're missing, that means that there's been an escape.
Oh, it's a big deal.
And if you don't show up to count, that is counted as a first-level shot for escape.
Yeah.
So you don't miscount.
No, they're going to put you in.
It's not optional.
They're going to really mess with you.
It's a bad thing.
So, but I did it. I missed it the very next day. Yeah. I'm just meandering around. Yeah. And they just counted us at 7. I don't know why.
Seemed like it was enough.
Seemed like we just counted. But anyway, I'm walking around. I think I've got some laundry in, and I'm carrying a tennis racket.
Okay.
That's the part that he didn't like the most. So the hallway is empty. Right. This is the next morning. And the hallway is empty, and I'm like, oh, man.
Where'd everybody go?
What is there a conference? Everybody
got out.
Gymnasiums?
Everybody's been freed.
Yeah. Then I see the CO come around what the are you doing?
Yeah.
You are my count. Look, whoa, I'm going to hustle. I'm going to get on back up there now. How long have you been here?
Uh-oh.
Okay. I said, this is my second day.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got off. That's how I got some slack on that one.
Because you're new.
Because I'm new. And within the same, you can't have visitors as soon as you get there either. So you get there, and for a period of time, you're not calling anyone. You're not emailing anyone.
Not even sure how to get a hold of them.
No one's coming to see you. For a while, they have to fill out their paperwork and get approved.
You're just walking around in a daze with a tennis racket.
This is quite different for me.
Oh, God.
So when we did so we have visitors, and we go back out to that what do you call it, entry area or wherever
the visiting room. It's like a dentist waiting room.
Yes. So I also messed up count there one time. At 10 o'clock. But I thought, don't you know I'm here? There's only 30 people allowed out. You know that I'm out here. So why are we leaving? So they do this while your mom's there.
Come stand out and
they're going to come out and just show your family, no, he's a prisoner for sure. We're still going to make him come out and line up. And during your visiting time, we're going to take a couple minutes and count everyone.
And it's a little uncomfortable to do that in front of your family for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so you find that because I remember when you left, we had a little
party.
away party and pizzas and
so as we do when one is going.
When one's leaving,
one is going to leave.
So you get out, and that's a big day, right? I mean, you're like, I'm getting out.
You're getting out.
And I think
it is a big day. It's a big day.
But I think there's a lot of anticipation too of the fact that people are like,
it's not what you think it's going to be, though.
And you went to the Dismas house.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
All right. So you get out
because we hear about it.
You hear about it. You don't hear anything good. That's shooting.
There's a lot of talk about the Dismas house at Leavenworth.
Go on there. So you get out. My dad picked me up. It's like he dropped me off. We went to the first Quick Trip gas station, whatever, somewhere where there was choices and money that I spend my own money and get whatever I want here.
Like a real person.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
We drive through from Leavenworth back to St. Louis, go to my grandma's house where we're going to, have a nice meal. A few cousins are over, etc. And you're really wondering, well, do I have to get to Dismas house today? Is tomorrow, I got to get some things. Is it that big a deal? I've got to get, I got to get my cell phone. I got to get the things that you need.
I've been gone for a while.
Right. Want to get some of my own clothes now, not wear these clothes.
Right.
So, no, you got to go today. You got to get downtown to Dismas house.
They give you a time period.
They give you a time period.
Yeah, it's pretty tight.
It's pretty tight. And, so you think you're free and you think you're going to call down, hey, I'm going to be a little late.
A little late. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, you're not free. No. Get down here.
Now.
Or we're going to send you back.
You're still a BOP prisoner.
You're still a Bureau prison.
And if you don't get here on time,
custody.
That's going to count it as escape.
Yes, and we're going to send you back, and you're going to go back up to the medium maybe.
And that catches your attention.
Yeah. So now you're okay, we'll be right down.
Right.
All right. So, and we're skipping over some stuff. You don't get out of prison when you're supposed to either. So your release date, like you've calculated it. You think this is the day. You think you know what it is. You think you went online. Yeah. Even what it tells you online of your release date. Well, that just depends on if they have enough people there to process you. Right. If it's around a holiday.
See, mine was a holiday.
Yeah,
Thanksgiving, they just didn't work, and so I stayed an extra 6 days.
Yeah, so they don't care.
It doesn't sound like much, but it is.
Exactly. So, this is something that ought to, I don't know why this was never important to anyone, that my release date is the 12th, and you're keeping me. I think mine was 9 more days. Yeah. And, it's just the disappointment.
A lot of disappointment.
Continues. Yeah. The things that are not in your control and are not to be discussed or let's rationalize how this happened.
You're not at a resort at a 5-star, and the extra 9 days will just be fine.
Exactly. And it's the same thing at the halfway house. You're not getting out of the halfway house when you're supposed to.
Well, I think the thing about the halfway house is that you are going from one prison to another prison. To me,
worse.
The Dismas house is the oldest halfway house in the United States, and it is not good. And you've got people there from maximum to camp, roughly 100 to 150 guys living in a really bad area of town on Cole Brilliant Boulevard. And you hear shots.
Bad things happen there.
Bad things are happening
in the
there
building
and
all around you.
There. Yeah, and that's going to be your home now that you've left Leavenworth, and you're thinking when you're walking into the Dismas house, my God, this place is worse than the place I just left.
That is correct. This is worse. I've never been in a more dangerous environment than where they have put me right now.
This is to protect you, to go to the halfway house. So they're helping you.
And, they collect 25% of your income
up front.
Your weekly gross, whatever your gross, not the net. Right. So there's definitely an incentive to go ahead and keep you around a little while longer there. Yeah. You're just a piece of meat, and we're going to let you out of prison not when you're supposed to be, but when we feel like it, and we're going to keep you an extra week at the halfway house too, or months at the halfway house.
So when you got back and you started into the halfway house and started seeing people, what was your feeling like when you walked into a room, does everybody know I went to prison, or were you feeling like it didn't really matter, or did it even cross your mind being back home? You know, I always kind of thought, they always kind of looking at me like, he didn't turn into a prison creature, did he? He's still Brent, right?
Yeah, it's a little weird. The coming out, you know, the introductions that you're going to have to your groups of friends when you get out are pretty awkward.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I went to an event where they inducted one of my club members into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame. So just after I got out, within a couple of weeks, hey, here's this event.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So immediately I'm out of prison, and then directly we're all going to this ballroom and we're doing this. And, you know, I played polo for many years.
Yeah.
So,
as all middle-class kids from Wentzville do.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Why not? Right. How do we, once you be,
everybody plays polo.
everybody where do we meet up? So, yeah, I wasn't just walking into here's the guys I all went to welding school with, and there was a memorial. No, I'm back to, okay,
you're in the club again.
I'm back in the club again, and, you know, everybody, what was it like? Glad to see you.
Well, here's the one thing I think that's interesting about, and you and I have talked about this, Jason. It's there is a feeling that, you know, when you're out, you know, everything's back, you're normal, you're getting into the swing of things, everything's good. One thing that I think that people don't understand, there's 2/3 of the people that go to prison go back in 3 years, and 3/4 go back in 5 years, and everybody's like, wow, those guys are stupid. They're, you know, they need to get their act right. They're, you know, they got to figure out, you know, get straight, do this. But here's the thing that I don't think people really take into account and understand is that when you get out, we are the last of our breed where you can legally discriminate against an ex-felon, because you have to put it on your job application.
Right.
You have to
check the box.
Check the box. You have to put it in where you want to live, and most places won't rent to somebody who's an ex-felon, and you need a car or credit. So the three things that you need in life:
money,
a place to live, a job, and credit or a car, makes it really hard to get those things. Really tough, because those are tough anyway. But then if you put on top of it that you've got
the life sentence, when you get the life sentence of you're a felon, which continues well after you leave Leavenworth and well after you leave Dismas House, they're not trying to help you get back into the community, really.
No.
They're not really trying to help you get a job. They're not really trying to help you with your continued treatment from the RDAP program. They're just keeping their claws in you for financial purposes.
If you think about it, both you and I started back in 2007, 2008 on this journey. And I think it takes I also think when you get out, it takes a good 6 months to a year to get your feet under you. And I mean, get your feet under you, like you're not looking over your shoulder. You're not thinking that you got to be at count. You know, and everything's moving pretty fast and I don't know how to really analogize that to something, but it feels like life is moving. Life stopped in prison, literally.
Yes.
And then you jump back into a moving car to catch back up. And that's what you're doing, like in the first 6 months to a year, is just trying to feel a little bit more normal, because it doesn't happen right away. And you're being put in situations where you don't feel normal, like being put in the Dismas House and other places. You're trying to get a job. You're trying to get back. And you're
trying to get a job, and now here comes this guy from some investigator that wants to come see you at your job site.
Which is very intimidating to everybody.
Yeah, and when you're on an open floor in a bullpen of salespeople like I was, well, you can spot this guy because he's a disheveled schlub and working for the government. He stands out like a red thumb for the guy who is, you know, and he's the one that's supposed to be the legitimizer of, am I here working for real?
Yeah. But I think my point too is that, you know, for the nonviolent guys, and there's a lot of nonviolent guys that are in the ex-felon world. You know, there's 25 million of us. There's 2.5 million in incarcerated now. So there's a large number of people that are affected by this. And for the nonviolent people, you know, I think there has to be something in some way tweaked to where society benefit. I mean, you're a smart guy that built a big company. You know, a lot of companies could benefit from that. But man, it's a really hard interview, right?
It's a very hard interview. You're going to have to find someone that you know to give you another opportunity, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
And beyond that, everyone is wanting to make sure that they get the benefit of your business acumen along with the felon discount.
Yeah.
So here's a guy that used to make a lot of money, knows a lot. Let's learn everything that he knows for as little as we possibly can, because he's just happy to be outside.
Yeah. That's well.
And still dealing with that.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, we're a disenfranchised group with nothing really appealing or attractive in rehabilitating us. The white collar guy, I mean, I can't even get a job selling business services for Charter Cable.
Yeah. Which is odd because there's no danger to you.
Yeah.
If I'm going to hire you, you're not going to do anything to me.
I'm probably the least likely person that wants to go back to prison is someone who was there already.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, the other thing I was going to ask you, Jason, is that, you know, when you get out, what do you think as your normal day? What is it you think you probably appreciate the most not being in prison?
Well, the control of your own time,
yeah,
and what you're going to do and when you're going to do it.
I say that too. That and it's the little things of being able to do what you want to do when you're going to do it, not having to ask somebody to do it. And I've related that back to, you know, for the last 18 months, everybody's gotten just a little taste of prison.
Yeah,
because we've been locked down.
Yeah.
Can't be where you want. Can't go when you want. Can't go the time you want. Got to wear a mask. It's a little taste of prison in it, and it really knocks people off their game. And you know, the thing, you know, that I think, and the part of, you know, this whole podcast is you've got to continue to take that step, regardless if it scares the shit out of you. The thing you fear the most, to finally get through that, walk around, climb over it, whatever, to get to the place you want to be, and it finally set yourself free. And success means a lot of things to a lot of different people, but I think, Jason, you have been in a situation where you've had a lot, you lost a lot, and now you're in a position to where you're trying to continue to use your brain.
Be productive.
Yeah. It feels good to do that.
It does. It does. And I'm happy to be out, of course, as an understatement. But just the fact that it's not over, and it's never over.
That's right. It's in that case, that part of things is a life sentence. And I think that's why, you know, in the grand scheme of things, you have to have a mindset that could easily make you fall into a rut. And you have to keep thinking about, what are the things I can do that still help me feel like me, that I'm making a difference in something. And one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast is I want to use our experiences that we've gone through so that people, you don't have to go to prison.
Right.
But everybody gets in their own ruts.
I recommend you don't.
No, I highly recommend it. But everybody gets into their own ruts, whether it's, you know, a bad job that you're stuck in, or a bad marriage, or you've lost hope in some type of deal, or somebody's died in your family, any of those type things. Life is unfair. The point is can you still make a difference and still try to make a difference in what you're doing? Because no one walks through this life without having to deal with their own shit.
Yeah. It's not the struggle towards happiness. You got to work for it.
You got to work for it. You got to have a good mindset. And the old Henry Ford quote is, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't.
You're right.
You're right. So, Jason, man, I appreciate you coming on here today.
Yes.
This has been a fun talk, and I think hopefully somebody can get something out of something that we talked about today. I want to remind everybody, the book Nightmare Success is coming out pre-order 1st of November. And go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, and follow. I want followers.
I'm following.
Jason's going to follow. So, yeah, follow, hit the like, and talk to you next time.